Hey folks, it's Myron from the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. Tonight I am joined by Nigel Sherrod, one of the most interesting guys that I've ever had the ability to do research on for a show, because the guy's done everything. How you doing tonight, Nigel?
Well, thanks, sir, Mr. Myron. I'm doing very well, and thanks for having me on your show. I really appreciate that.
No, glad to have you.
Doing great out here in Los Angeles.
Out in Los Angeles, man. The Georgia guy goes to Los Angeles. How's that going for you?
You believe it's like the Beverly Hillbillies. You should see it. Me and Bambi out here. Bambi with her mullet, and me with. Of course, I can kind of hide my Southern accent a little bit, but it's funny. The first day we got here, we didn't have any food here at the house, right?
Yeah.
And so we said, well, we're going to go to this place called Ralph's. Ralph's has the best fried chicken ever on the West Coast, at least.
On the West Coast? Okay.
And you should have seen us. We had a pickup truck, this big Dodge, pickup truck. So we said, well, I'll tell you what, it's so beautiful outside. Let's just sit on the back end of this truck. And we couldn't have looked any more out of place. You know what I mean? But we're having fun, though. I'm out here in California like nobody knows me. It's great. So you can kind of live life a little bit lighter, if you will.
Like vacation.
It's fun.
Well, how did you get out there?
Yeah. Well, I'm out here working. Yeah, I'm out here working for Women of Wrestling.
Cool. Which,
if anybody wants more information whenever we get done with the interview and things like that, WOWE.com is where you can find more information, or on Twitter and all that kind of stuff. But if you go to the website, all of it's there if you want to catch up. But Women of Wrestling is a group that's been around since about 2000. And I watched them as a kid growing up, and they were only on the air for like maybe a year or so. But when they were on the air and when they were filming, they were at the Great Western Forum here in California.
Yeah.
And the way that it was shot, the way that it was filmed, the way that the presentation was, you couldn't have told a 12-year-old me, or however old I was at the time, that, I guess I would have been 12, that these weren't, as big of stars as the WWE or WCW. And I mean, the presentation was just blew me away. And so anyway, fast forward to 2018, and myself and Bambi have had many battles when I was the intergender champion and things like that. Ha ha ha. But we have we're kind of a training team out here. She needed a training assistant, or was asking for a training assistant, and I said absolutely. I've worked for WOW a couple other times throughout the past few years, just in little 2-week stints here or there. But now I'm out here for the long haul.
Awesome. And WOW, if my knowledge serves me, comes out of the same people that did Glow, right?
That's right. David McLean co-founded Glow with Matt Sember, and of course that's gotten really popular.
Oh, definitely.
And so obviously, but WOW returned about 5 years ago. But it's a good time for us to have returned. And a couple things about WOW, as you mentioned, David McLean. This is his company. David, of course, like we said, was with Glow, but also went on to do POW, and now we're with WOW. But WOW is actually owned by Jeannie Buss. So she owns the Lakers, and she is our boss.
Wow, that's big money right there, man.
That's big money. Yeah, absolutely. But that just shows you how serious this venture is. We're also in a developing our developmental type relationship with MGM as well, and Mark Burnett, who has produced The Voice, Survivor, just a bunch of reality TV and things like that. So we also have a relationship with them. And so things are looking good for WoW.
Oh, definitely. You got the outside the industry money coming in, and the outside the industry people making an investment in this. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, and I bring that up because it's different, than your typical wrestling production. Or if you're a wrestler and hey, brother, we got this, man. I tell you, we're gonna have 15 weeks of TV, brother. It's gonna be good. Da 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 da. It's a little bit different than that. The whole inside workings of the company, the whole, just everything is a little bit different than your average pro wrestling company. Because of that. And in some ways that's a good thing. Some ways it's not such a good thing, but overall it's a great thing.
Yeah.
I think. And it's great to be associated with people like that because you automatically, it gives your brand legitimacy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And Hollywood is hungry for women's wrestling right now, man. It's a great time.
Well, absolutely, but with WoW expanding, we hope that it won't be just Hollywood that will be seeing women of wrestling moving forward. And even so, like I was saying, you don't have to be in Hollywood to check it out. You can check out all the past seasons on the website.
Oh,
so
awesome.
If you like women's wrestling, you can go in there and check it out. And WoW is kind of is different because you won't see some of the girls you see on WoW, you won't see anywhere else because I like to call it the McMahon model.
Yeah.
But much like Glow, some of the WoW girls, just came to a casting call and, got a character and learned how to wrestle and so on and so forth. So they're not from the wrestling world. So a lot of times you get to see something a little bit different if you're tired of seeing the same old thing. Of course, we have familiar faces that you might know from the independent world, like Santana Garrett and Barbie Hayden and Amber O'Neal. And I can't think of the girl's real name or her work name. Katie Forbes. She plays Chloe Hertz here in WoW. But so you'll get to see something a little bit different than what you're used to. Different opponents, different girls. It's really neat.
Oh, cool. So they have a little bit different storylines?
They've got different storylines and different characters and different talent that you wouldn't see anywhere else, which makes it kind of unique, But when you watch it, you'll see what I mean. The presentation and execution of it is just phenomenal. Which at the end of the day, having a good presentation, I know Jim Ross, when I used to listen to his podcast, would harp on that was a key thing. And he's absolutely right. So I'm glad that we have that element. And I think we have some great talent coming up as well. Actually, in addition to being kind of an assistant trainer with Selena, I have been given the reins to the YouTube channel, WoW Superheroes on YouTube. And they said, hey, we're going to give you a show. And I said, instead of just one show, why don't we check in with everybody all week long? So we'll be seeing from all the different WoW superhero or WoW girl wrestlers throughout the coming up weeks. We're going to launch that, and when we do, Myron, of course, I'll give you all the information for all the listeners.
Awesome, man.
Whenever we officially launch that. Right now, we've got about 35,000 subscribers on YouTube, so we've got quite a few people tuning in.
Yeah.
But we really haven't been active with it. And like I said, with activity picking up here in California, and like I said, nationally on the horizon, we will of course be having more demand for the content. So they said, give it a shot. This is your chance. This is your opportunity with something different, because we'll talk about this. But I guess I'm best known for being an announcer. And so this is an opportunity for me to, while I'm at work, have fun with a side project and also get paid for it.
That's nice.
So it's awesome.
Nice.
It's awesome. but I'm also getting to learn. I'm also getting to work with some great people. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's a business, so you all want to get paid and everything like that and make money. But I tell you, I've been in the wrestling business 14 years, and it's really fulfilling, honestly, to me, to be able to help produce content like that, or help train these girls. I was just having a conversation today. It's really you're leaving a piece of yourself that's not just you as a talent, but you're also helping other people move through the system and helping the company, something that's just greater than yourself.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's a great feeling. Yeah.
Oh, I can imagine, man. I can imagine. And I found, to me, that creating stuff for like YouTube and Facebook and all that and the podcast is very fulfilling. So you're going to get to do all kind of stuff like that and forge your commentary career too.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've taken a more active role because for the past 3 or 4 years, I've worked at Impact Wrestling, but more so in a production assistant, T-shirt guy. I mean, I've filled so many roles there that if you gave me a job title, we'd probably be stuck here all night long.
Yeah.
Writing down the different things that I've done.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's what that is. And I have a great time there, and that's awesome. But you still have a longing to do what you're very passionate about. Of course, mine is broadcasting more so than anything, although I love getting under those lights in wrestling. And I've gotten myself back into better shape because of this opportunity out here in California and training the girls and being out there and training every day for 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
You can't help but get in better shape.
I can imagine.
So I'm probably at the best ring shape that I've been in probably 5 years. Ooh. But I really enjoy the commentary and the announcing. So this gives me that outlet. But I also enjoy producing things. And I feel like, again, a lot of folks want to see our talent. Women's wrestling is very vibrant right now. And I just feel like we've got a market that needs to be fed. So great women's wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Because I talked to Kevin Harvey of Rise, and he's expanding and doing new things because women's wrestling is picking up and people want to see it. They're looking for it now.
It's awesome, and I'm very happy for it. I did an interview a couple of weeks ago, and somebody said, well, is there anything that you would change? And I said, well, I wouldn't really change anything because I'm glad that they're doing, all these first ever and all this kind of thing. But I do wish that some of our pioneers that in lady wrestling were honored more often, and highlighted more often. But it's a business. I understand that doesn't necessarily equal dividends, because that's the niche within niche. But I do wish that that more women would get honored, especially with the Hall of Fame and the Legacy Inductee Awards. So hopefully we'll see more of that because, honestly, like I was telling you, with Selena Majors, a.k.a. Bambi, being such a major part of my career, that to me is very important. And of course, Joyce Grable started her out, and ladies like that worked very hard to make sure that there was a platform. I mean, Moolah was the one who went into New York and actually got women's wrestling to be legalized.
I didn't know.
Not allowed to have it in New York. Absolutely. Yeah. So when you talk about trailblazers, there's a part of me that wants to bite my lip and go, good for these girls, and nothing against them that are on the current show. But I really enjoy when they highlight the true trailblazers like Mae Young and Moolah and so on and so. Judy Martin. The list goes on and on and on.
Well, you have some experience with them. You knew them, right?
Yes, Moolah, Mae Young. In fact, when I was first breaking into the wrestling business, maybe even a little bit before then, because this is before I got into it.
Mm-hmm.
I became friends with Moolah, and through that, obviously, if you're friends with Moolah, you're going to be friends with Mae Young, because they lived in the same house together with what Moolah called their damn midget, which was a midget lady wrestler named Diamond Lil. So you can imagine learning about that, you know, as a 16-year-old or 15-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, that's one of your first interactions with somebody in the pro wrestling business.
Uh-huh.
But, yes, they were great. They were awesome. I miss talking with Moolah. And Mae, she was funny, but you always knew that if she didn't want to have a conversation with you, she would do the whole, huh? What's that, hon? I can't. What is it, hon? You know, yeah. Whether you're in person or on the phone, you know what I mean. It's great. But last time I saw Mae, we were just kind of whatever. Like we were taking a picture, and I was like, "All right, put me in the front face lock, you know, or something. Put me in some sort of hold because that's what you do when you're a wrestler. Is you put people in holds when they ask for a picture, right?" So she put me in a front face lock. And then, you know, it's just quick, okay, let's take the picture, boom, boom, you know. And then she wouldn't let me out of it. And now I don't know if it's because she's, you know, like 87 at the time or whatever. And I'm afraid that if I really tried to get out of it, that she was holding on. But I honestly tried a little bit. I didn't want to hurt this old lady.
Yeah.
But she had it locked in. I really couldn't move or do much of anything. So she still had it and was strong as a bull. Even later on into her life, you know.
And I bet she knew how to just cinch it in just perfectly.
Oh, of course she did.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine just the kind of things that they went through? I mean, she told me that they used to have to put like chicken wire around the ring. So many people would throw fruits and vegetables and old eggs and tomato, you know, stuff like that.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So it was a different crowd back then. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so yeah, they helped me out quite a bit. And then I kind of had a feud, but really a friendship and a teacher in Bambi, who I would later kind of hit the road with, and we would kind of emulate the Andy Kaufman, Jerry Lawler, that whole, you know, when Kaufman would wrestle women, and we had a lot of fun with that. We had a lot of fun with that. I got my ass kicked all over Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. And to look at Bambi, you wouldn't think, you know, she hits too hard, but let me tell you, my chest was as red as a beet every single night we wrestled. She loved to chop me like a tree. But you know, I learned the hard way on the road in front of people, you know, so.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome, man. And intergender wrestling is super popular, but you don't ever see it on the big shows. But
yeah,
people love it.
Well, we did that, and I thought it was funny when Kaufman did it. And I thought it was great. And in my mind at the time, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to call her. We're going to get this going. Things are going to be great. And then the King of Memphis, side note for anybody that knows me well, knows this, but for those of you that might not, I'm a huge Jerry Lawler fan. Mm-hmm. And I'm a huge fan of Elvis, right? So, and I'm a huge fan of Memphis. So you would think the next logical step would be Jerry Lawler, and that's what I was hoping for. Yeah. But funny enough, that opportunity did come up, but that was when The Miz was challenged by the King for the WWE championship, and I believe it was either Los Angeles or Las Vegas. I can't remember. and we were scheduled to face each other, but the day before they made the announcement, he had to pull out.
Wow.
Because of the pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
So that never happened, but in the middle of the whole deal with me and Bambi, I got a phone call from Terry Taylor at Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
And he said, "You're an Elvis impersonator, right?" And at the time I was. I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, you know how to bump, right?" And I said, "Yes, of course, I'd been in wrestling, at that time." And he said, "Okay, well, we've got a segment with you and Awesome Kong. We need you in Memphis on Sunday." I think this might have been like a Thursday or a Friday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're literally talking like a couple days out. And here's all the information, I couldn't have been more elated. You know what I mean? Because if I couldn't wrestle the king, I had to have somebody that would totally pulverize me.
Oh, God.
And so Awesome Kong was a pretty awesome opponent. And actually, she beat me up on pay-per-view, and then we wrestled each other a couple times, with the most memorable being in front of about 1,500 folks at the Perks Arena in Cedartown, Georgia. That was just to know that, the angles and everything that were being built up kind of built to that crowd being there.
Yeah.
Was just awesome. And the bigger the crowd, the at least for me as a performer, the more I love it, because the more interaction there is. And if you've ever seen me, I'm no Lou Fez, but I try to entertain. And and so for somebody like me, that's wonderful,
Oh, yeah. You were at my first indie wrestling show, and it's only been a year since I started going to indie shows. At
I know, I saw you posted that.
Yeah, man.
So I'm sorry.
My buddy Nick that runs everything for the podcast, he went to school with Terry Lawler, went to high school.
Okay.
So we saw that, and he's like, "We ought to go to that." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And man, I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, indie wrestling is great. While that was definitely not, that was probably one of my worst outings, just because I had taken some time off and said, "Well, I'll come in and do this," because it was a charity event, actually.
Yeah.
I think, and that just goes to show you, if you're not keeping yourself, in condition every week, because I'd only been off a few months, but yeah, I mean, Southern Fried Championship Wrestling, they always put on a heck of a show.
Yeah.
But there's so much great talent on the independent scene, and so many great organizations. It's really quite amazing. I feel like Atlanta and Georgia is a pretty big hot spot right now. I often wonder if it's a little oversaturated, because there's a lot of talent.
Yeah, I can see that.
But
you can go to a show Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday every week.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So in a way, a good thing. In a way, a bad thing for some guys, because more talent equals, you're not going to get your rates as a wrestler. You know what I mean? And until you prove yourself. Yeah. And so there's a bigger pool of people that you have to, kind of beat out in terms of being impressive or standing out. But that just makes the product that we're putting out of Georgia exceptional. I mean, case in point, look at Andrew Duckworth, look at Austin Theory, look at AC Mack. These are guys that have been in the business less than 5 years, and they're better than 98% of the people that I've seen in the state of Georgia in the past 14 years. So it's really a high point for professional wrestling right now.
Oh, it definitely. Especially the women, though. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, to get back to that. I mean, the women, I just got done watching the Elimination Chamber, and I don't know if you saw that, Myron. But
definitely.
What a match. I was kind of surprised at how far they let everything go with the jumping off the cage a couple times in the little pod. I was kind of surprised.
And they worked story too. They did a real good job working the story as far as Sasha and Bailey and Mickey James, who looked phenomenal. They did a real good job with that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she looked great. Props to Rick Michaels for for sewing that outfit together.
Oh, he did the gear?
But he did. Yeah, I don't
Awesome.
know how well you know that or not, but
I know he's done a lot of gear for people.
Yeah, he probably makes about 60% of what you see on WWE.
Holy
Rick
shit,
does
that's
it.
awesome.
He stays busy.
I can imagine. And I would figure he'd stay busy just with the wrestling stuff. But making all that gear, wow.
Yeah, I mean, Rick is really who broke me in and got me into the business. And it never ceases to amaze me the amount of energy, number one, but number two, the amount of passion that Rick has for the business, because you've got to have tons of that to do what he does as a promoter and a booker, but then to add on the wrestling gear and all that other kind of stuff. I mean, you really have to love the business.
Oh, I can
and
imagine.
Of course, he's making.
Yeah.
Well, I was just saying. I mean, he's making money. It's not like he's making these outfits for free or anything.
Yeah.
But you know, it's constantly there. You constantly have to have an inspiration. You constantly have to have new concepts and new ideas. It's a lot harder than what you might think, and he just does a jam up good job of it.
Well, just the creativity, yeah. It's
well, that's what I mean. Yeah. Little known fact.
Go ahead.
Yeah, little known fact about Rick is his brother was a kind of a wouldn't want to say famous, but I guess well-known puppeteer in that community, and was really had some awesome stuff. So I think that Rick comes from a very creative family anyway, and you'd be amazed if you saw some of the puppets and stuff like that he made. And I think there's actually somewhere close to where Center Stage is, like a center for puppetry, and a lot of his brother's stuff is inside that building. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's wild, man. That's wild. And Rick was
a whole show on trivia about Rick Michaels.
He was in my favorite storyline of the year last year, Southern Fried. Him and Todd got together and put together pretty much a year-long storyline for them with JB Enterprises and those guys, and it was so entertaining. And they did such a good job.
Yeah, I mean, Rick is quite the storyteller. And, you know, Todd Sexton, of course, with all of his experience and training and background from, you know, the Shawn Michaels Academy and all that kind of stuff. And Todd has been around for a long time. I mean, those two guys, I didn't get to see a lot of that. I did get to induct Rick into the Hall of Fame there. But I understand that's been a lot of fun. And old school Rick, you might have seen him drop a couple trickles of blood.
Oh, yeah. So, he got color one time. And I don't know if they were meaning to bleed that much, but I've never seen anybody bleed like that before. And it was the first time I'd taken my stepson to a match. And
wow.
Indie wrestling. And we had our table set up, and Rick bled like right in front of him. And he was just, he wants to go every time now. Every time somebody opens the door, he wants to go because of that Rick Michaels experience he had. It was that good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, well, funny enough, Rick was at my first independent wrestling show. And you know, I mean, he was a standout reason why I went, and that was years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been in the wrestling business, like I said, close to 15 years, 14 years here in a couple of days, and that's crazy to think that, you know. But also on that card was AJ Styles.
Yeah. Wow.
So those were the days. Imagine that in my high school gym. And I just got done seeing him at here in California at a house show last night.
Oh man, that's
in front of about 3,000 or 4,000 people. I tell you, there's no greater feeling, kind of being a Georgia boy and being there, and then AJ comes out, and we both share the same kind of ties to the landmark arena
Yeah.
We started our careers there, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I'm not insinuating that we're best friends or have Thanksgiving dinner, but, you know, there's just a sense of pride, a sense of, you know, that's where I'm from, too, you know, literally.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I can only imagine, man. Well, you were at the reunion show, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Oh, wow. Because, I mean, I heard
Yeah,
that down.
they did, and AJ was there and made a great appearance. And I wasn't on screen, but I helped out with with running the day and being there and helping run all the activities and festivities. And I was part of a Q&A session that we did. But other than that, I was there kind of in a behind-the-scenes element. But what a great show that was.
Oh, yeah. I heard so much. I couldn't go because I had to work, but I heard so many great things about it, man.
Oh, yeah. Quick story about Wildside is that when I was I was still in high school when I was working for Wildside. Mm-hmm. And I'd been working for them for about a year, and then Bill Behrens signed the deal with WWE to work on their developmental, which didn't last too long for various reasons. But nonetheless, because of that, Wildside had to be shut down, or at least Behrens was pulling his involvement out. And at the time, I don't think Rick was around, but they were just going to stop it, and then if moving forward, rename it, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, they were having the official last Wildside show, and prom was coming up, and I already had the date, I already had a girlfriend, all this kind of great stuff, and then guess what weekend the Wildside Last Rites show fell on? If you said prom weekend, yep. Myron, then you've just won this great story, because I broke up basically with the girl. Well, she broke up with me, but I just said, honey, I can't go. I've got to do this last Wildside show.
Yeah.
You know, and which is why I don't have a wife and kids right now. You know, not saying that didn't, but I mean, I just love wrestling so much.
Well, yeah,
that I've chased it for so long, and that's the love of my life. I mean, all kidding aside, I do have a girlfriend. She's very understanding, but you understand what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Oh, trust me. I just have a podcast, and it causes trouble at home. Okay. I can't, and I go to local wrestling shows and occasionally show up out of state, but I don't do this business, and it causes trouble at home. So I can imagine what it'd be like trying to go full time and travel and live on the road like y'all have to, man. That's gotta be a lot.
Well, can you imagine, you know, my lady back home in Georgia saying, you know, oh yeah, it's fine. You go train girl wrestlers and be in the ring with them, roll around for 4 hours a day, and you know, so there's a trust thing, but
yeah,
you know, you have to have that. If you have a relationship in this business, you got to have a lot of trust. Otherwise, you might as well forget it.
Yeah. Oh, I can only imagine, man. I can only imagine. The coolest thing, I ran into you at Wrestlecade, and so nice to us, and it's so friendly, and you were working with the WOW people, and I was amazed by how well structured they were and how they had their stuff together and the presentation. That was what got me interested in what they were doing.
Yes. And funny enough, like I was talking about earlier, that's what hooked me as a kid, is that it looked in the same class as a WWE presentation.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that David McClain is, and, you know, I mean, he probably won't even, I'm not, you know, crapping on the podcast, but David probably won't listen to this. He's not an internet guy, you know, and, so I'm not blowing smoke up anybody's, but he puts a lot of pride into that presentation. And honestly, you know, that's, a lot of people don't get it, but that separates. I mean, it caught your eye, and it caught a lot of folks' eye at Wrestlecade. And, it was great seeing you there. I was glad to see familiar faces.
Oh, it's a great show.
You know, up there,
It's
because
so much fun,
that's
man.
always just like a big family reunion, you know.
I'm glad we're getting involved in the wrestling community more and more, because everybody is so nice to us. You know, everybody has been so gracious to us. It's been a wonderful experience. And, you know, Dave, he was having so much fun and all that other stuff, and everybody enjoying themselves. But what touched me really about what I was doing is everybody was dressed perfectly. You know, the
Yes.
suit and tie guys were perfect on. Everybody was presenting a consistent message when they were showing up for the appearances, like even at just the regular show days. Everybody was at where they should be, doing what they needed to be, and putting out a very, for lack of just a consistent message, and looking good and prepared. And that was, you know, you don't see getting that many people together to do one thing commonly. That's like WWE level, like you said.
Right, and I mean, they do it first class. So all the girls had wild jumpsuits on. They rode from California in that plane, and they all wore those wild jumpsuits, and they had them. And I mean, David just, you know, treats it as, and I think that's why Glow was successful and all that kind of stuff. Is, you know, he really wants a great presentation, and you know, and it's, but also we've got some great matches.
Oh yeah,
that are going to be coming up, and some in our catalog. And it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it certainly is something worth checking out because it's different. And I love to check out all the different kind of stuff going around. From, you know, Japanese wrestling to sometimes I'll turn on and watch Lucha Libre and see what's going on. I mean, the WWE is a great product, and they put out great things, but there's also other things out there, just like you said, with independent wrestling. And I think this is something that everybody will soon kind of get to enjoy.
Oh yeah.
And kind of going back to the YouTube thing, like I was telling you earlier, I really hope that the folks listening into the interview will at least click over and give it a shot. We've got some interesting shows coming back. One of them I can tell you about will be a Throwback Thursday, where we'll see some of the old WOW girls, and maybe even some of the Glow girls come in and host segments and to talk about matches and things like that. So that's going to be a weekly thing on the YouTube, and also we're going to have Q&As and all kind of good stuff. So, like I said, I'll get you the information.
Oh yeah.
You know, when all that starts, but we've got a lot of good stuff coming. And then that's not the only thing I can talk about, but that's the only thing I can talk about now. So we'll have to wait till another time and place to talk about the other stuff. But, yeah, absolutely. I love the fact that the wrestling business is in a healthy state right now. And getting great folks like you to come out to see independent wrestling that might not have ever been.
No, I was just WWE guy. And imagine this, in the late 90s, early 2000s, I'm here in Atlanta. You know, I went to school at UGA. I moved to the Atlanta metro area after graduation, and I'm just going to WWE shows. I did not even know all this stuff existed. I missed so much great wrestling. It's just unbelievable, man. And now I'm getting a chance to get back up on it, and the internet has a lot of it's still out there. I can watch it now. Did you see the internet becoming so big in wrestling?
I don't think anybody did.
I'm amazed.
I don't think anybody did. I will say this: one of the first promotions that I worked for was under a guy named Josh Wheeler, who you might know from AWE.
Yeah.
Right. So, but Josh ran this company, funny enough, called PWE. It's always got that E at the end of it.
Yeah.
But, so, although it was Evolution, Pro Wrestling Evolution. But he actually, like I said, I mean, this is at the beginning of my career. So about 14 years ago, Josh was producing and putting on episodes of what he called pirate TV back in the day. And I thought the concept was cool, and I thought it had legs. But there's no way that you could have told me, you know, at that time that you won't have to worry with DVDs or anything like that. It's just all there, and it's all on demand, and you can just buy it like a cheeseburger. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or whatever. You know, have a subscription to it. I mean, oh my God! When I was a kid, I can't imagine. I would have never left the house.
Oh yeah, I still remember renting WWE pay-per-views, WrestleMania on VHS cassette, and watching it at home because we didn't even get pay-per-view.
and back in the day, those VHSs probably were like a $30 rental, weren't they? I mean,
they were a big deal. Yeah, it was a big deal because that was your show, man. That was you saw, they promoted WrestleMania happening, and you didn't get to know anything about it till it got in the video store. And when it got out there, it was a thing you had to see.
Yeah, well, not a $30 rental, but maybe a $30 tape.
Oh, easily.
That much for a VHS easily. Now is
and
crazy.
People wanted that, wanted that rental. It was insane trying to get those things. But now
that's nuts how that's changed,
the entire catalog is where I can watch it for $10 a month.
Yeah, and then you've got places like Powerbomb TV. Mm-hmm. We were talking off air a little bit about that, and High Spots Network. And actually, I didn't tell you this when we were off air, but I host a show called Tried and True, which is out of Clarksville, Tennessee, kind of close to Nashville. And I'm coming back to the East Coast to host a big show for them coming up, actually just a few days, March the 10th. Mm-hmm. So that's coming up for me. But they're on there along with great shoot interviews and documentaries. Like I said, the Bruce and Brody documentary was really great. But there's a lot of great content out there. And I'll go back to it. That's what we're trying to throw out and get the fans excited about WOW, because this is going to be a very big year for us. And I'm just glad to be out here and ride the wave.
Oh, yeah, man. I can only imagine what it's like being able to create something this big and this important. Because with such great people.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm in my element. I love to create. I love to help. I love to, write, produce. I mean, it's awesome. It's like I'm a kid getting to live my dream, which has been the, story for a long time. But this is just awesome, being out here, because when I wake up in the morning, mm-hmm. I know that I got to get up and I'll drink my water and eat a little cereal or whatever. But then I go train. That's all I do. Mm-hmm. Is I go train in the ring, and then I get to work with great people and produce great content. So it's really, quite a blessing, and I just hope that other people enjoy it or will enjoy the content as much as we enjoy producing it for you.
Oh, I can only imagine, man. This is going to be hot. You got more great content coming, and so much. Y'all have got this figured out. Y'all have got your stuff together. You're producing. You're doing this good. People are going to be really excited about this.
I think so. I mean, that's the hope, and the hope is to maybe with some of the throwback shows with some of our guests, that we'll have, that hopefully with some of those special guests being on the show, people might say, oh, I'd love to see her, and see what she's doing now. And so she might, be whoever the guest might be, and throw back to some of those old school matches, but you'll also kind of get caught up on the past 5 years about what they've been doing. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff coming, and then with the new content, you'll kind of get caught up to date. If you're already up to date, rather, with the WOW brand, we're going to give you some stuff until we can really tell you about the big stuff. But I can't really say anything right now.
No. Don't want to ruin it.
A lot of big news. Yeah, you don't want to ruin it. It's coming, trust me. But more people know about WOW this year than I think that have known about us for a very long time. Probably more people will know about us by the end of the year than when they did when we were on syndication 18 years ago. So I think it'll be great.
YouTube is so important for promoting content and getting it out there where people can see it and keep up with your product and learn more about your product, because it's such an open market where anybody can.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, we're looking at this like, if you don't know who we are, we're giving you a chance to catch up. If you do know who we are, we want to give you something to look forward to, and we want to have you feel engaged. A lot of our programming on YouTube is going to be very interactive with the fans, you know, and it's important for that to take place. WWE does a tremendous job of it. Impact does a tremendous job of it, and Ring of Honor does too, in fact, which is giving the fans an opportunity to get up close and personal with the wrestlers and kind of get that stuff that they crave. Because when I was a kid, they didn't have that kind of stuff. No. You know, you just didn't have it. So it's kind of it's awesome that YouTube has opened those doors for sure.
Oh yeah, they're gone from the days where you had to wait until you knew when wrestling was coming on TV, and that was all you had.
Exactly. I waited with bated breath.
You know, unless you went and bought an after bag, that was your wrestling for the week.
Oh yeah. I remember. You know, we were on a Fripp Island, and it's a real nice place to visit. And my family gone there, and everybody was down at the beach. And they were like, "Hey, you know, we're going to the beach. Do you want to join us? We're having a barbecue, da-da-da." And I said, "No, I've got to stay because Hacksaw Jim Duggan is wrestling, and I've got to be here to support him." You know, and little did I know that was filmed probably a month prior to it airing, you know what I mean, or whatever. And but it's just the reality that I lived in at that time, you know. And it's amazing that wrestling is just is like that. Now, me and Hacksaw and Jim Duggan were tag team champions in Alabama about 4 years ago.
Wow! And
that was the most surreal, probably one of the more surreal moments of my, you know, career, right?
Yeah.
But wrestling is crazy like that, you know, as you kind of saw at Wrestlecade. It was just like kind of walking in heaven.
Yeah, well, that's the best way to describe it. If you're a wrestling fan, you're sitting there and you go back after everything the day, you pass through the hotel bar, the hotel lobby on your way to your room, and you see guys that you watched as a kid just sitting there hanging out. And so you buy you a beer and you stand around, and before long you're talking to guys that you saw on TV. I got to meet my hero as a child, Dr. Tom Pritchard, in person.
Oh, yeah.
And I was still in awe about that. It was the most amazing thing.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think that wrestlers are probably one of the most underappreciated artists. And we definitely do appreciate it. Or at least anybody worth a crap. I'll give you a PG version. We're all good to the fans, because without the fans there would be no wrestling. It's hard to, you know, sell a T-shirt to somebody to help pay your bills if there's nobody at the building. So and it's hard to run a show without anybody showing up, for even furthermore. So it's just it's very much appreciated. And Dr. Tom, by the way, is an awesome guy. I'm glad you got to meet him. I think we talked about that cool when I ran into you.
Yeah. He was so cool to me. And I'm still, I get all shook up still thinking about it, because when I was a kid, he was wrestling for me. You know, he was the guy.
Right.
It was just, wrestling is a special place, man. And
it's a great industry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's why I keep doing this. You know, we don't make any money, or not like we would want to, but this is a labor of love, man, because we're fans. We enjoy doing this and meeting people and living out our childhood dreams.
Oh, well, I'm with you on that. You know, oftentimes I thought maybe I should just, you know, give up on this and be a fan. I think I'd lose a little bit less money. You know? You know, making those drives, and you got a hot dog and, you know, $10. But then, you know, when I'm out here in California, you know, or, you know, whatever highlight you can think of, I could plug in a million different things, just because if you stay true to your journey, if you stay true to your passion, and this is what you want to do, then anything's possible. But you just got to put your all into it.
Yeah.
And by the way, that reminds me of Alexa Bliss's promo last night at the Elimination Chamber after it. And it's just fresh on my mind because I just watched it. But what a great promo.
Yeah. She got you perfectly. She hooked you in, and then she just burnt you down. Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh, yeah, because I was sitting there going, what is going on? But, like, if I was a heel, I would totally turn. And then right as I was thinking that, boom, there she goes and just, shoots on the whole crowd. So it's terrific,
Oh, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming on tonight, man, and I am super excited about what you're doing with WOW. Keep me posted on this, and we'll get it out there, and we'll retweet it as much as possible or share it on Facebook. Because this is great, man. This is really cool what you got going on.
It's awesome, and like I said, we'll talk, in between now and then. Yeah. But I'll come on as often as you'd like me. And I'll fill in.
Thank you.
Fill you in with all the information. I appreciate
we haven't even got to talk about country music yet.
No, I mean, right. I feel like there's a million stories that we haven't hit.
I saw it, man. I was when I was looking through your profile, and I'd seen a couple pictures of you with country music legends, and we didn't go on vacation as a child. We went to Opryland once or twice a year. Because that country music was that important in my household as a kid. So I'd die to talk to some about some of that stuff with you. But we can get to that next time, man. That's awesome.
I know, yeah. Well, I had no idea. We hadn't talked about that before, but yeah, we'll talk about that, off there, on there. But yeah, that's all I listen to is just stuff from the old school days. But yes, again, thank you for having me on.
Hey, man. And I really appreciate it, man.
If anybody wants to reach me, it's just my name, NigelSherrod.com, and that's how you can keep in touch with me and everything I'm doing.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I really have had a great time tonight, and I can't wait to get this interview. Okay. Good luck, man.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You too.